Africa to the global platform. So it's quite opposite. I will share my thoughts as to why the two projects are critical and why we should actually put a little more effort to build a movement. I'll give my own thoughts of a movement, having walked the journey, having seen the trials and tribulations of those who try to change the status quo. And then I'll end with, I'm a poet, because activists are also poets. I'll just do a verse for you, just to encourage all the efforts in case I don't stay up to the end of the conference. I must say my movement building starts with my grandmother. My grandmother was born in a family with 4 sets of twins. 4 sets of twins. But it was a taboo in Zimbabwe 104 years ago for any woman to have twins. So what they did is they killed all 8 children, one by one. And my grandmother was the only sibling who survived from this myth. So most of the issues that women face in society are not crimes they make. These are crimes made against them. Some people's thoughts, actions, beliefs actually perpetuate a lot of pain in women. Most probably by trying to fight back a system. That's when they get to be labeled criminals and put behind jail. So with my grandmother, when she survived, she got married. And guess what? She herself had another set of 4 pairs of twins. Again, it became a taboo against her. So she left the village. She left with my mother and a twin sister. My mother had nowhere to go. She simply went and got married. And you know, when you're in Africa, when you don't have a home to stay, when you do not have somewhere to take to, like a refugee, a place of safety, as a little girl, what we simply do is to go get married. So my mother got married at the age of 16. She was just a girl. She was just an innocent girl coming from the village. The marriage didn't work. And I even recall when I was 5 years, and even as I speak to you here on stage, I can still feel the sound of the beatings from my father. I still feel the cries of a woman who kept on saying, I won't live because of my children. I will die because of my children. So she didn't leave the abusive relationship. But one day, I just stood up and I said to my mother, when I was only 6 years, Mother, I saw you being beaten last night. Report to the police officer. I see the police officer. But my mother took her index finger, pressed it very hard on my mouth, and she said, we don't say that in public. That's another line we are also going to explore about women. The fear to speak out, the fear for each one of us to be heard. It really feels shameful. It also betrays the same system that is abusing you. So my mother didn't report. I had no choice but to think maybe a girl at 7 years I could help with economic justice. So I started vending on the streets, taking baskets of tomatoes, onions, and I used to go out at night. Unfortunately, myself and 10 other little girls of the same age got raped. We got sexually abused by the same pedophile who lived in our neighborhood. It was such a pain to my body, physically, emotionally. My mother wanted to really hide the whole pain, so she simply took me, put warm salt in a dish of warm water, made me sit for hours so that I could heal. That became my antibiotic for every private part of my body, my genitalia, that had been torn into pieces to come back again. So I did not go to the doctor, I didn't get justice. But I kept on asking, why is it when you are wronged, you are the one who is supposed to hide You're the one who is supposed actually to say, I'm sorry. And the people who wrong you don't come to say they are sorry. So it was really a pain to see crime against us hidden, because patriarchal systems, they have got backlash should you rebel against them. So I became a rebel. You know, you have heard about rebels in Congo, rebels in Syria, rebels in Iraq, wherever. But I became a rebel in the home. I always felt that there was something wrong with the home where I lived. Because if my freedom was to be granted by anyone in the world, the home was supposed to give me that freedom first. So I fought my father. I stood up against him. But unfortunately, on 27 January 1981, my mother was murdered by my father right in my face. She bled from the nose, she bled from the mouth, and I still recall when she said, look after the children. I didn't know when I was going to school that was the last time I could see this woman. We had been beaten many times and bounced back in a strong way. That one day became her last day. She left his siblings with me, 4 brothers. One of them was just 8 months old. I stopped being a daughter. I started being a mother. But still, I wanted to challenge that system. Why did it kill women? On the day my mother went to be buried, I never saw that woman. They hid us. Actually, symbolically, they put us in a little prison in someone's house. And I could just see the funeral car through a window. That was my mother. Even in her pain and sorrow, I was supposed to give the last dignified farewell on earth to say, woman, you tried. Woman, you did everything in your capacity. In return, you get loss of your life. So my mother went to be buried to a place that I didn't know. However, I took up the burden of looking after my siblings, the little baby. I had first to go to look for anybody in that poor high-density suburb who was just kind to hold my little brother as I went into class. After class, I would walk about 10 miles to collect my brother, put him somewhere, take the basket, back on the vending market to look for money for them. So my life was really difficult, ceasing to be a child, injustice, people who are insensitive and unfair. My father remarried a very cruel woman.